everybody, welcome back to TheCandidCamper, and I got some special guests today. We got Tones TV, X-Rod TV, and it's Lucas Kim, and we're gonna get crazy today. We're gonna talk about Dexter season 1. How y'all doing?
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
What up, homie?
Yo,
I'm fantastic.
awesome.
Good.
Fantastic. Yeah, you guys sound like you're having a fucking blast today. I love it. So yeah, we're gonna kick off Dexter. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We know Tones and I put out a video, and it's Lucas Kim. He came up and was like, "Dude, this is jamming. Let's get together." So here we are. We're finally got together, and we're gonna make a really cool video for you guys, and you're gonna get into the mind of us through Dexter. See, yeah. So Lucas, kick it off for us. What's your thoughts on season 1?
I'm gonna have to say that season 1 is definitely like, Dexter's first introduction. I mean, when the first episode, the first 5 to 10 minutes of the scene right there, it really started off strong, in my personal opinion. Like where the music starts, and then he's just like tonight's the night, and then he like focus on his target. He channels in how he kills his, whoever he's targeted to kill, and he introduces himself with the whole like old classic music, and he's like sailing away. I thought that part was like the biggest impact of the first introduction. It started off great, and eventually like throughout the middle of the seasons they started like going all over the place. It got a little bit slow in between. Sure, there's the primary focus victim, like the villain is ice cream truck killer, but they were throwing a lot of side characters in, and they were like trying to explain their characters' backgrounds. I get that, but focus is Dexter. The first season, he has to be in the focus, but like they just like throwing random scenes for every other character, and I think that was what got a lot of got the season a little bit too slow. But at the same time, at the end of the season, they concluded. They went back to the season's focus, and they ended it in the most best way that I could have probably imagined.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was so many character arcs that they went through, and they didn't start off like that. You're absolutely right. It started off with Dexter and that inner monologue that he had, which is awesome. That's probably one of my favorite thing about that character is that he just talks to himself, and you get to hear the thoughts of a serial killer and how he's kind of debating on whether this is an okay thing to do or not. He's always fighting that demon in his head. But at the same time, as you progress, you can tell he's just getting more comfortable doing it. Until obviously later on in seasons, you'll kind of find out more. But as far as jumping around, you're right. They kind of jump off and start going into the route of like Deborah, his sister. They'll go into Angel Batista, even like they start digging a little bit into his situation with his wife, and then Maria. That's a whole nother thing, and which I wish, kind of weird to say, but I kind of wish the Maria and Dexter thing kind of went a little bit more. I wish that because he's like, well, she always like basically targeting him, flirting with them. I think that would have been kind of funny for it to go a little bit deeper than that. And then the whole Rita side of it too, like they went pretty hard on that, which it all makes sense after you get past season 1. They did a great job after watching it. They did a great job at setting it up. But if you don't know anything about it, you didn't read the books or anything, you're kind of sitting there like, well, what the fuck's going on? So I think you said it perfectly. Anybody else have anything to say about it? Tones, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean the first season, the inner monologue was very cool, like you were saying. If it's funny because he says something within that inner monologue, and then he says the opposite out loud, and it's fucking hilarious. The character is kind of interesting because he's a blood analyst who literally is a murderer who kills bad people, but nonetheless he's still a murderer. But it's kind of ironic how that's his job, and no one seems to notice. But what's his name? James.
Dope.
Yeah. And He's funny as fuck, bro. He sees the weirdness in fucking Dexter like no one else does. It's kind of a cool concept of how he became that way. It wasn't just like this, the sick self of him. It was actually like a traumatic experience that made him the way he is. And that was definitely a way of looking at it that wasn't as bad as people would think. But nonetheless, being a fucking murderer is terrible, even if you do you do kill him. But it was a way of like making sure that the fans who are watching it are not like, okay, this dude's not just this fucking sicko killing these these nice people. He's actually killing these fucking people who've actually killed and stuff like that. So it's a cool concept. Angel Batista's pretty cool, man. I like him. The relationship with Rita is very weird. Like he didn't find. I mean, he found her attractive, but at the same time, he didn't care that there was no sex involved because of her traumatic experience with her husband. By the way, her husband was so fucking annoying in that season. By the way, when he came in, I believe that was season one. I believe that was season one. Man, he was so fucking annoying, man. But he finds out that his father was this liar and kind of ends up finding out about his brother. I thought once he found out that he had a brother, I thought that was just crazy. I thought that was insane. I wasn't expecting that for sure. I did expect that Brian dude to be the ice truck killer, but I didn't expect him to be his brother. I was not leaning towards that way. I knew as soon as he kidnapped Deborah that he was going to kill Brian. I knew for a fact. I knew Dexter wasn't going to allow that. But that I don't want to go into season 2 yet, but that fucked him up, killing his brother. It really did. But yeah, I enjoyed season 1. The character fucking Deborah is a very interesting character. Not one of my favorites for sure. She always thinks everyone like Dexter's against her and doesn't fucking love her and all this bullshit. It was just really her character was really annoying. Wasn't a fan, but at the end she finds out like her fucking brother saved her. But so yeah, it ended pretty well. Ended pretty cool. I enjoyed the first season for sure.
Awesome. X, what about you, buddy?
I mean, I agree on everybody's points. Yeah, a little jumpy for me. I mean, this is my first time watching it, so I've only watched the first season. I think I'm gonna, I'll continue on with it for sure, but definitely a little bit jumpy for me, but it was okay. There were a lot of things that I did like about, when you hear about psycho killers and as killers go, like the inner monologue, it's actually like a thing where they say killers talk to themselves in that person, like you get into their sense of that. So I thought that was great. Yeah, Deborah's character very interesting, but I can see as to why she's kind of a big part of his life. And as the story continued, yeah, she thinks that he's wrong in certain situations, but as well, she also confided in him in a lot of things. So, she's always kind of going him as a go-to. Definitely side character stories are cool. I just think, yeah, a little bit maybe too focused on the side characters more than him. But that's all right. For me, yeah, for the longest time, I actually didn't know where the meme came from. Surprise motherfucker. But as soon as I saw him show up on screen, I was like, that's the fucking guy.
Yeah. Dokes is what a powerful like presence. It's great, and his presence is only like sporadic. He's always just happened to be there when Dexter's showing up, or when something is gonna pop off and Dexter's there. You always see Dokes in the corner just like staring at him. And there's one scene where Dexter's kind of like staring out of his office, and then Dokes looks up and he like gives him a nod, and then Dokes looks basically to fucking weird ass motherfucker and just walks off.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, that's just it's crazy. And I think Tone said it too, like just Dokes knowing that there's something off about Dexter and no one else sees it, makes for a really strong character, and especially later on in the show too, which we're not going to get into on this episode. So I got a question for y'all. who's your favorite character so far, and who's your least favorite character?
My least
I would
favorite
say
character.
I
Go
would say
ahead.
Angel for me. Angel's pretty dope actually. Um, for some reason, I enjoy what he brings to the table. Excuse me. As far as like, they have that like buddy cop kind of thing, and he seems to, as Dexter is playing off, like he says it like, oh, I'm playing the moods or whatever. I'm playing my character. I think when he's talking to Angel, it's a little bit different. I do think he's might be the actual person, or even with Deborah, But I think Angel's pretty dope.
Sweet. Who's your least favorite?
I would say, obviously, I don't know if he's going to be a reoccurring character, but I can't remember his damn name right now. The husband.
Paul Bennett.
Yes.
Yeah.
He irritated the shit out of me, but
I'll say Paul. Paul is irritating as fuck for sure, but he plays the role so well. Like, what I don't want to spoil it, but once you see what everything is, you'll be like, "Fuck, okay, yeah, he great character."
yeah, he
Definitely
irritated the
needed.
shit out of me. I'm like, dude,
Good.
just stop.
It makes it easier for you in season 2. Just you'll
Okay.
see. Lucas, Kim, go for it.
My favorite character, if it's not Dexter, then I would probably say that, in this case, it has to be Angel Batista in my case too. Honestly, there's no flaw point in his character. Obviously, for the first season, he's trying to be a good good cop, and a very faithful good cop, um, willing to be loyal to the Miami Metro, to his friends and family, and he's trying his best to make amends with his wife and the kid that they're on divorce and everything. So I do believe that he's like probably the most alive character, like realistically alive character comparing to everyone else in the first season. Like, you have to relate to them that he is that type of as real as it gets type of cop right there, like in a regular type of concept. And yeah, and then the worst character for me was actually none other than Deborah Morgan. Because I'm gonna say that it has nothing to do with the foul mouthing. Actually, it's just that she like really is a little bit about how I say, like, too selfish. She's very self-centered, and she feels that like everything is kind of like revolves around her, and then like, yeah, she kind of like needs Dexter in her life, but at the same time, when Dexter like is having his own concerns, she doesn't care about like what he's going through. She gets upset and says that, like, fuck you, brother. Like, what, I'm having concern about myself. Why are you not listening to me? Kind of like a younger sister whining at a like older brother kind of thing right there, as if like she
Is
it
more
kind of shows
important.
that this is what I call like a daddy issues is my like is in my
Yep.
concept of her. And you clearly can tell that, like, she has her daddy issues with Harry at the time, in the flashbacks. She still also has a daddy issues with Dexter now that the Harry is no longer there, and in those kind of cases, and she's not actually she is she gets really irritated. Yeah, like, but I will say a good thing part about her is that she is very sharp and intuitive, and she has the skill of a detective. Like, she's
Oh yeah.
probably sharper than half of the Miami Metro,
Yep.
because and it just makes Miami Metro look really incompetent and like really useless. And
She got it
that's
from her father.
Yep, that's just
Yeah.
like father like daughter. But I think she's much smarter than her father, though. That's just how I feel when it comes to intuition. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's just me.
No, I like that, and I think you're right with that whole idea of her being smart. I think she would have figured everything out without Dexter helping her if LaGuerta actually let her do her job. Which you kind of
Yes.
see that progression within every episode you see Deborah in. She does get smarter and smarter and smarter and more of a detective. Tones, what's up?
Nothing. I
Good.
was reading the dude's name. I didn't know that was I didn't know that was her last name, Maria's LaGuardia.
Yeah.
Gorda,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So obviously Dexter is probably my favorite, but if we're gonna skip over that. We're gonna go to Angel Batista also. Just a great character. The way they introduced him was awesome. The way that he believes in Deborah is really cool. Even though Deborah always has a whole bunch of shit going on, he never gave up on her, and he always pushed for her to do better. Same with Dexter. Um, Angel is also not biased, which is really really good. He doesn't have any bias to anything. Like when Dexter was at the that crab meat thing where they're dancing with Rita, and he just walks over there and Batista's like, "Oh, hey, dude, what's up? Like, why are you here?" And they just kind of start talking, and he kind of just like included Dexter into it, even though Dexter is not a detective. So I think he's really smart too to help bring in other ideas from other people to help him create and solve cases. My least favorite character is Masuka.
Oh my god.
Okay.
in season in
See,
in
that's
season
my
one.
favorite, bro. You're tripping.
In
That's
season one, only season one, just because he wasn't as smart, which I feel like I don't know if they changed something like wow, we made him really dumb. But like if you go on past seasons, he seems to get a lot smarter too. But he just kind of was, I don't know, he's just being just not smart, and he was just complaining the whole time about the
he was
fucking
just
rat shit.
oblivious. He was oblivious to
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything, dude.
everything, and I thought it was just kind
That's
of
what
over
made
the
him
top.
fucking funny, though.
No,
It literally
he's funny. I just didn't
it
like his how dumb they made him.
it made him so fucking fun to watch because he was so oblivious. Like there was one thing where Dexter was like asking questions about something that he shouldn't be asking questions about because he did it, and then it was like he was just oblivious, telling him all the answers and stuff. It was just fucking hilarious, bro. I was cracking up every time Vince Masuka was on there. Just cracking up the whole time.
I'm gonna give an honorable mention because this I'm gonna use the word. I shouldn't, but this bitch pissed me off. Is that fucking neighbor with the dog?
Oh, I
Oh,
know who
dude,
you're talking
I
about.
never
Yeah.
wanted to reach through a fucking TV harder in my life and just smack the shit out of somebody. Like she was just evil, and it pissed me off. And then it just, God, it really fucking made me mad. And then Dexter went over to talk to her, and then she was just a bitch to Dexter. And then Rita finally got the balls to go over there, and she's like, laughed in her face.
Yeah,
I
it's
actually
fucking hilarious.
thought when that was being talked about, I thought they were gonna kind of do like his childhood over again and have him not necessarily kill a dog, but maybe get rid of it in a way. Um,
Ah,
so that's kind of what I thought was gonna happen. But yeah, didn't really
wasn't the dog's
go that way.
fault. She
No,
was the one that was
no,
being
she's
dick.
yeah,
I
she's
kind of wish
nasty.
that he went back and found some dirt on her and took her out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been mad at that.
yeah, very true.
Cool. All right, how you feeling, you guys ready for season 2?
Yeah, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Oh
Do,
yeah, for
do,
sure.
do you mind if I tell you my favorite and my least
That's
favorite?
why I asked you what you were doing earlier, but you said you were reading, so I went and did mine.
No, I was. You said
So what's up,
LaGuardia, and
Tones?
I
And you're like, what's up?
yeah. Well, no, you said LaGuardia, and I looked left, you know, and all I heard was "up, Tones," and I was like, "What's up, dude?"
That was your cue. That was your cue, by the way.
No,
But you're
that's
good. Go
come
for it.
on,
Yeah, Tone,
bro.
what about you,
Come
bro?
on.
How you feeling?
Oh, see, thank you. That's how you ask me, bro.
That's why I said the first time. That's cool.
I mean, Dokes was. I mean, I think that's his name, right? Dokes. Is that how you say
Yep.
it?
James Oakes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's fucking hilarious, bro. He has to be one of my favorite characters just because he's on Dexter. He's the only one who knows Dexter's a fucking weirdo, and it's hilarious as fuck. Like the surprise motherfucker when he popped up out of nowhere. Oh, I was dying. The one thing I will say though, Dexter is quick on his fucking feet, dude.
Mhm.
Every time he got caught in a lie, he came up with the fucking fastest excuse, and it was like, oh wow, that's a great excuse. You know what I'm saying? Every single time. So yeah, Dokes was definitely my favorite. Everything that Lucas said about Deborah, it ditto everything. Literally every point that I was gonna make about her, he said it. So Deborah's my least favorite for sure. But yeah, James Dokes is freaking hilarious. He does things by the book. He does things outside the book. Yeah, he teeters on what's right and what's the right way to do it, and sometimes the wrong way to do it. That whole thing with the underpass when he shot the agent. I thought what Batista did was the right thing because he had to say something. But even when Batista told like internal affairs or whatever it was, even when he said, I think he shot him, there was no second shot or whatever. I forgot what the exact words he used, but even James was like, when the cop bumped into him and called him a rat or whatever, like he was like, say, you better fucking apologize to your commanding officer. And I was like, oh yeah, this dude's a real one.
Yeah.
This dude's a real one.
The good cop, bad cop routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually do want to make a point about Dexter and Dokes' relationship in this the first season. As you know, at the almost to the end of the season, where he says "surprise motherfucker" and like gets really like physical with Dexter. Before that, and I'm gonna mention episode 10, where Dexter actually had to go into a hotel room with a full pile of
Oh, the
pool of
blood.
blood, yeah. And Dexter legitimately had like a hemophobia situation where he just like completely lost his control, and that's when Dokes actually came up to him and says,
Oh yeah,
"This
you're
is my
human.
first, yeah, this is my first time actually seeing you as a human," which where like Dokes kind of understands that like even no humans can like legitimately handle such like gore and blood, and not even Dexter himself. So I think that those two kind of each other kind of relate and respected each other on that certain point. I think that was like a big key point. And obviously another key point I want to make is that you have to understand that Dexter is actually much stronger than Dose.
Oh yeah, when they fought with each other, you see him handle himself.
Yeah.
That was dope.
And
That was dope.
I can understand why Dexter is so much stronger. Is because he trained himself to not get caught, and like from Harry and everything. But the man like had been chopping people body all his life. You're gonna have that much of a muscle and like a strength right there comparing to the like some sergeant police officer. So
Yep.
Yeah.
A good thing you pointed out was that knowing now that Dexter had that scene where he became human in Doke's eyes, he also became human in our eyes. So I think that was a good way to set us up to know that hey, Dexter is human. Like he can have a switch that can turn him off, and you get to see that later on, and obviously the whole blood scenes it mattered and it brought up the past of why he's is the way he is. Um, I just think everything was just done really really well, and people out there that watch it and they are about season one like it's hard to watch, you got to watch it, you got to pay attention, you got to kind of see it what they're going, and you have to continue it. Once you continue everything, you're going to understand it. You're probably going to go back and rewatch to re-understand what was going on.
And I can
um
agree with that
yeah
because I was thinking, watching the first couple episodes, I was thinking this kind of feels like NCIS, Law and Order a little bit, but then it doesn't. It's not that way. There is more to it than he does things that are different than what everybody else does, which was the cool part. Like the blood strings, I thought that's fantastic the way he did it, and he doesn't think like everybody else does. And yeah, I think definitely with like that monologue that he does is definitely helps you understand what he's thinking at the time. Most of the shows don't do that. Like do that inner explanation.
yeah,
perfect. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I think it's like a more of a reverse psychology because after all these TV shows that we watch, like such as Law and Order, as you mentioned, CSI Miami, we're always looking at like the police perspective side on how we catch criminals. and putting them into justice. But there's not a single story in a way, but obviously, like even for a vigilante story such as Spider-Man or Batman, like during the nighttime, you go arrest people and you just beat them up with the pulp and everything. But we never really looked at the side of saw the perspective of a killer who's out there catching other criminals and killing them.
Yeah.
Never really had that type of perspective. And the writer of the original novel did a pretty creative way, and then Clive Phillips, the director of the Dexter TV show, really like delivered it without you needing to read the book to match it.
Yeah.
And
I will say this though, Dexter is a dumbass, and I'll tell you why. This dude goes to the middle of the fucking ocean with his fish finder or whatever the fuck he had, and you could see the bodies, all the bodies on the fucking ground floor. Why the fuck would you do that? Like, if you could see it, that means everyone else who passes by could see what the fuck's going on.
He's like
there.
out there though, dude.
It doesn't matter, bro. Like it's Florida, right? It's Florida, or like everyone fishes.
Miami.
Yeah, everyone fishes in fucking Miami. Everyone fishes in fucking Florida. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you could see that, bro, anyone else could see that. Like, why put yourself in danger? And it just that part irritated me. It's like,
what would he do? What else would he do with them?
I'm not a fucking killer. I don't know, dude. But
he's not a killer. So he doesn't.
I was testing you.
I don't fucking know anything better than you. If you could see this shit, thousands of people who pass by this area will fucking see this shit as well. So,
but they're still not gonna know it's him. He doesn't leave any trace, so it doesn't even matter. Unless
he literally throws the fucking bags off the boat with his bare ass hands.
The only ones that catch him is Dokes, bro. That's
Did he have gloves on?
No, I literally yelled out. I was like, bro, why are you fucking throwing these bags out with your bare ass hands?
If he was bare ass handed, then I think you're right.
My answer to that is that go ask the director, not Dexter himself.
Yeah, right. Something that you kind of brought up, Kim or Lucas, it was the fact that it gets deeper than what it is. So think of it this way: he's trying to, as a blood and what is it, blood analysis or
blood splatter.
Yeah. So that's his job.
Yeah.
He's trying to help solve a case.
Mm-hmm.
He's also trying to murder somebody, and then he's also being hunted down by his brother. Like, that's an extra step on top of all of that. And then not only that, he's being hunted down by his brother, he's trying to figure out who's hunting him down. So it's like this fucked up circle of intertwining bullshit that's going through his head, and he's still keeping it all together. And then on top of that, the Rita thing with the husband, the Dokes thing chasing him down, the LaGuardia thing trying to get all up on that thing, and then his sister just being a fucking just needs so much attention. There's so much going on with Dexter and on his outside world that I'm surprised he hasn't exploded, and that he does keep it so cool. Great perspective, great way to see it.
My biggest complaint about the season 1's direction is that the little arc that they decided to throw in Dexter's biological father storyline is that I think that was just like kind of like prolonging with no necessary type of story, in my personal opinion. Because
what was the point of it?
They were trying to like understand, and like, could it be that it is actually Dexter's father or not? Like you don't really need to go to his house to understand. Like, is it his father? Like who? Like why did he die? And there were no actual like solution or answer to that. Like 2 episodes of that story, and it just really made no sense to me. And I think they were trying to like build relations between Dexter and Rudy, but they could have done it a better way to do something else for that. And I think that like the whole 2 episode was a big waste of time, and I think that's the reason why people got really tired of it. And then trying to catch the fake ice truck killer story was the second issue that I had with that lonely like how should I say it, is that one guy like who like killed his mother and then like buried on outside of the trailer. That was
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
the
but
security
that
guard guy?
yeah, that security, not the security guard guy, but the like
The
the hermit,
taxidermist?
the kid, the glasses guy, like who tried to claim himself that he's an ice truck killer, and then try to act like all dumb, but it turns out that he's just a nobody, like trying to make himself look cool, and Lagerta like caught him red handed for that. You know, I feel like that the whole one through episode was like really pointless. They could have just said, "Oh, he's not the real person," and Dexter, you know, just they could have just ended with it, but they just like prolonged that extra scene for no reason too. And I think that is like the biggest issue of the flaw of the season one, where they didn't need to bring any of these like additional stories into it, and I think that's what like a lot of people made it feel like, oh, I'm kind of tired of this like season.
yeah.
You're muted,
You
Marcus.
muted Mark. I was going to say I agree. As far as bringing in the dad, I really do think they just brought him in to make that storyline for Dexter and Rudy to like be the same person in a way, like why they're both like this. But yeah, you didn't really necessarily need that. You could explain it, I think, in a better way. I mean, they kind of
We didn't
did.
need the sick part. Like they still need to explain that he was adopted. Obviously, it makes a difference because of
Yeah,
what happens later on. But when he was sick in the hospital and Dexter's scene, like that was all kind of pointless. They didn't need any of that shit.
yeah,
It
no,
was it was just way too much. Like I don't know. But yeah, no, you're pointing out things that now are pissing me off. because because you always sit there like kind of wondering why it is so slow. But that was a big chunk of time for no reason. They could just skipped all that and it would have been fine.
yeah, about 2 episodes.
Exactly. What do you guys think of Rudy?
I like the way they did this character. I mean, I do feel like maybe a little bit extra um, with being a part of Deborah in some cases, but I understand why it makes sense. You know, always trying to be with her, trying to get as close to her as possible, give Dexter the ultimatum, like me or her.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that was never going to happen. Like he grew up with her, he loves her as a sister. There's no way he was going to choose you over her. I mean, and you're the psycho killer he's been chasing this entire time. So yeah, I don't think that was ever going to work out anyway. Even if Dexter decided some way to let him live, or even try to create a brother killer, standpoint. But yeah, no. I mean, it's good. It was good enough.
Do you think it was kind of short? I feel like they went a long way with trying to figure out who it was, and then the time frame that they were actually together was very short. And then then he was just okay with everything. Like right after, it was weird. That was the weird part. Like Dexter was like, "Oh, okay, cool, I
Yeah,
get it. I have a brother."
I think they built up too much in the beginning of the season and then rushed his storyline at the end.
Why not just say, "Hey, brother"? Like why can't you
Time
just show up?
the writing
Let's go
wasn't done
get some
yet.
beers.
It wasn't
Let's
finished
go
up
get
yet.
some beers. Let's
Yeah.
let's go surfing.
I agree. Um, I feel like the Rudy story was very poorly handled a little bit, in my personal opinion, because if you're trying to introduce like a hidden brother of a main character that's been like out to play a game, and then trying to like give several hints to say, hey, it's me, Rudy, aka Brian, then you would technically like develop a better way to like build a like a love and hate type of relationship right there. And
See that I agree with that. Real quick, let me cut you off real quick. I agree with that. It's because that kind of drop, like that kind of like that scene where we find out it's his brother, you need to be able to develop a relationship to be like, okay, damn, you're my brother now. Like I feel like you have to develop
Just
that over
gone.
time. Yeah, but like the first seasons we're getting like, oh, this is his brother. It was fucking weird. It was just
Yeah,
weird.
so that's where I'm like bringing up that the Dexter's father, they visited his house, and they were like trying to have the conversation between Rudy and Dexter, but it wasn't really like a development type of conversation. It was just like, hey, do you remember like what it was like? And I'm like, what are you trying to get here? Like, what's your like focus on this story? Is my argument right there. Like, do you want him to know that you're his brother? Then just outrightly say so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know that, but he didn't do that. It just like kept like asking like questions that were like seem evading, and it's like, and that really kind of frustrated me a little bit. But also, um, in a way, Rudy is definitely a little bit more empathetical type of character because, um, you know, because Harry knew that there was another boy there and didn't even like bother to look back to pick
See, that's so
Yeah,
Brian
that's so
up.
weird.
stupid. So stupid. I don't understand that.
And
The
that was
exact
like
thought in my head when you just said that, my exact thought went in my head like, why wouldn't he grab the other one?
and Harry's excuse of saying he's in too deep kind of thing. It was like the biggest like utterly disgusting excuse of a police officer in my personal opinion. Like, I think I that's just like a really poor way of like being a good cop bad cop routine again. Mostly good cop would be like, okay, I'll pick you both up, and I'll take you both in, and we'll do like some kind of like a psychological evaluation and help you get through this. But no, he just picked a little Dexter and be like, okay, you're on your own, boy. Like, go to your orphanage and maybe you'll become a good kid someday. No, Brian became an absolutely fucked up kid and became a absolute sadist and like out for vengeance against like the whole Morgan family, like waiting to strike. And Harry's action paid the price of nearly killing Deborah. And that's the beginning of Dexter's story. And I just don't understand the logic of why Harry did that. They never actually explained that, and that was the biggest frustration.
We got to
Stuck
remember
him in a pile of blood.
this was in 2006, so writing back then was a little bit different. We kind of see what the writer meant by what they were trying to do. They just didn't execute it properly, in my opinion.
Hey, you know what, Tones? The other day, me and you talked about this though. We said like how you can ruin a show by bringing in a character that wasn't introduced at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it kind of ruins the show later on. Now that we talk about it, yeah, it's a little irritating. Now that I think about it, like it kind of pissing me off. Like,
Yeah.
why did you wait so long, and why did you not take the other kid?
You
It doesn't
know,
make
my
sense.
Poor
my
writing,
logic
bro.
was like this. I said, is this like a Florida thing where they just like abandon one
I
child
know,
and pick
right?
up the other guy?
Possibly, bro.
Oh, shit. I just think that I think you guys need to watch season 2. We got to do this again for sure. Um, just the storyline, how it continues, is great. My favorite part about this whole thing is just the future of Dexter and his love interests. I, there's something weird about it that I just fucking find phenomenal because they do a great job at it. I don't want to spoil it for you, X-Rod. Um, but there's just like these weird little things that happen that changes the whole outcome of a whole season just because of Dexter falling in love with someone or Dexter's. I know, I know,
God, dude.
I know.
Sorry,
It's Rita
I'm not
though.
there
He
yet.
loves Rita. He
I'm
loves
not there
Rita.
yet.
Okay, now we're doing like wild
I didn't say
incest, dude.
nothing.
What the fuck is happening,
I didn't
dude?
say nothing. I didn't say nothing. No, we're not there yet.
I mean,
We're
this
not
season.
there yet, Toads.
So I'm not gonna spoil anything, obviously, but season 2 definitely picks up a lot of story right there.
Yep.
There's,
I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
and then it's definitely faster paced. Definitely picks up a lot. More new characters are involved in, and and those new characters are not boring as hell.
Yeah.
I will guarantee you that.
I mean, his sponsor. No, his sponsor.
I know you're saying.
You know what you're saying, bro.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
So let's go around the table real quick and let's give this season 1 a rating. Let's go 1 to 10. Lucas, Kim, you're up first.
I'd probably give it 7 out of 10 only because the first minus point is the dragged on unnecessary episodes right there. And then another minus point was that even though Rudy aka Brian was supposed to be like a main antagonist, but the execution of the villain started out great, like made it seem like a very mysterious type of villain right there, and then turns out that when he's revealed as a brother, there's not a lot of background a story to explain through it, so that was very weak execution right there. And he died a little bit too fast because of the unnecessary episode. So that was one of my minus point right there. And then another minus 3 point is that um the pace, like the way that Dexter was hunting out other villain criminals out there. There was not a lot of actions to it. Like after that first episode of him killing a criminal, I think that was like the only like biggest impact to it. But and then everyone else was just like back his flashbacks of like killing that nasty as a nurse trying to kill the
Yeah, her
father. Yeah,
father. Yeah.
yeah. I think that was the only thing, and that you know it was supposed to be about him going out on a vigilante hunt to kill kill criminals. So there was not a lot of story to that. So that was my another minus point on that. So 7 out of 10, but it still was a good start of a season in my personal opinion. There are more to look forward to because of the how the ending kind of explained. Like he what is it, the relations with Dokes, like you can tell that their grudges are not gonna like just end right there. You can tell that he's James is out for blood right now, so
Yep.
well, more of the stories to that.
I hate to be boring, but everything he said is spot on. Like those are the reasons why I'm giving it a 6.5, because the half a point was fucking Deborah's character. She ducked it. She lowered it down to a. But the thing is like I'm like 5 episodes in. I do see it picking up. I do see the vision that they have for the rest of the show. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I see what they're doing with it. So for sure, I see it getting better for sure.
I'll give it a 7.5. I did enjoy Dexter's character a lot. I don't think. I guess I'm just me personally. I mean, Deborah's kind of an ass, but I do enjoy her character. I do enjoy what she gives to Dexter, in a way, and I do like all the side characters. Yeah, a couple things that we just talked about at the end, but all in all, I thought it was overall really really well, and I do want to see what happens in the future seasons. I know obviously it lasted for so long, as it was, so it's got to get better from here, So yeah, I'm excited for future seasons for sure.
Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, 8 seasons. And don't get me wrong. There's always filler episodes. There's
8
always
seasons?
trouble
Holy
in making
shit.
8 seasons.
Oh, I had to surprise Tones as well because Michael C. Hall and Jennifer Carpenter were formerly married together and did this whole
Yeah,
throughout the Dexter journey right there together.
Oh shit!
yeah, yep,
So the brother and sister were married?
yep.
In real life,
Is that what you said?
It's the most awkward way to explaining it, but yes, technically that
Oh,
would be the case.
shit.
Dynamics have changed.
Yeah.
did they
Um,
get married during the seasons, or was that prior to the
Yes, they
show?
were married during the in between the season 1 and 2, and then they ended up divorcing around like 4 to 5, season 4 to 5 right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but they still were
Kinda wanna
they
see how that
still were
goes.
on a journey together all the way to the end, and as well as and the further Dexter stories. Yeah,
he also got cancer, right? Isn't he a
yes,
cancer survivor?
around season 4 to season 5, he had a cancer. So you can kind well, obviously, like spoiler free. You'll eventually kind of notice his appearance a little bit different in between during that season right there, and
Yeah.
he was already going through chemo, and he still was willing to go through all the shows right there, and he didn't miss out any of the like aside from his like treatment, he didn't miss out and try to cancel the show, he still continued going, and he was able to beat the cancer, and
Yeah, and the thing is, he is Dexter. That's another one of those characters that Tones and I talked about that you can't kind of replace. Like he's your Dexter now, and like that's why we're still having him as our Dexter and all these different random shitty shows we're getting. We'll get into that another time. I'm gonna give this one also a 7. I'll go 7.5. Just because I know where the future is, which is probably not how I should
No,
be
no,
ranking
no,
this.
no, no, no. Nope.
Okay, you can say something. Who this fuck can say something? It's my show.
I
I'll
don't
give
give
it
a
a
fuck.
7.75.
I'll take that.
No, I
Well,
just
isn't that
I just
more?
love Dexter. I think Dexter's great. I love the storyline behind it all. I can just do it out without some of the extra bullshit. I wish there was a little bit more Dokes interactions with them instead of just pass bys. And Batista just made it really just entertaining and really good. Um, One thing we didn't talk about that I didn't like was that didn't really matter that much. Kind of was the whole Dokes cheating with the officer's wife,
Yeah.
even though they were divorced. And then he finally says something at the end, like
Oh
she was,
yeah,
you signed the papers. Like, why wouldn't you say that to him in the fucking beginning? Why were you
Yeah.
protecting any of that when they're trying to basically get your ass fucking in trouble?
I completely forgot about that part of this season, and then you know what? That was another part that I just think that it didn't really need to be brought up.
Not at
It
all.
was
They
like a
didn't
really,
kill him or
really
anything. So
it because it made no sense, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because around the season 2, I kind of reflected back that scene on the season 1. I realized that it was really pointless after watching season 2, and obviously we're gonna all discuss about this event at that time. Now my question to you guys, I know that this is your show, but I do want to ask a
go for it.
question. Do you feel that what Dexter is doing is the right thing to do as a vigilante? Like
Oh,
trying to avoid too much controversial discussion. It's just like a yes or no like kind of question, and it's not something that you have to make it sound like like we're not gonna obviously we're not gonna like think of each other as like your psycho kind of thing, but it's just like do you feel that
The funny thing is I don't have to listen to Candid's answer. I already know he's a psycho, so all good. No, I don't
I
think so.
So you know my answer?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
I was gonna
No.
say, yeah, it's all about perspective. Like, put in the perspective of like superheroes. Batman and Superman have the no killing rule, so it's how do you kind of see it is as far as, I mean, these people being taken off the street and killed, they'll never do
And
it
look what
again.
happens to Batman, dude. Every time you send them to Gotham, what happens? They get out and they go and do more shit. They go out and fuck shit up.
Well,
Mhm.
Look
Batman
at
has
look
the
at New York
worst.
now.
He
Same
has the
thing.
worst super prison of all time because
Okay,
there's no
let's
place
not
to
talk
break
about New
out.
York because I actually live here. Okay, but I think like in the case of Batman, I you have to kind of understand that like Batman's villains don't actually like get too detailed in description about like how if they're like a rapist or killers or like serial killers or something really like grotesque. So I don't want to get too detailed on whether is if Batman is doing it right or not. But in a case of Dexter, he has to follow the code obviously, and but every time when he hunts certain people down, they're really like fucking monster people, like people that
Mhm.
Dexter's hunting down. And in my heart, and in a most way, like people where Dexter hunts like some monster type of people who like harms kids or like harms like like innocent people in the most grotesque way. I feel like these people go into jail and then they don't even stay in jail forever. They get bailed out and they do the same type of shit. I feel like you need these type of person to teach them some kind of lesson right there. you know so like is that for me to say like am I a psycho? No, I don't think so. It's just like you kind of just wish that like these type of people are like need to learn their lesson on not to do that, because recently there was like a crime in Flushing where one of the rapists actually like raped a 13-year-old child while having the sibling watch it. and he got away with it. And then the Good Samaritans caught him and then like beat the shit out of him. And the police officers like didn't even arrest the Good Samaritans. They just arrest this guy. And I'm like deep inside, like you need those type of people out there, like to give teach these type of people lesson. And that's just, I feel like Dexter is like one of those type of characters that that's just how we feel.
Yep.
Dexter's like all of us, but at the same time, like how we feel about certain like criminals. That's just how I feel in psychologically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I agree. Cool. All right, y'all. We're gonna wrap it up. If y'all want to tell them where they can find you, what your social medias are, if you guys want to start off, Lucas, go first.
Yes, you can find me on X, also formerly known as Twitter. My user is right below. It's Lucas Kim, and I usually talk about Disney stuff with my other groups, OG55, as well as I also talk about other TV shows or animes and video games. If anybody wants to say hello and you want to ask certain questions.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Extra, what's up?
You can follow me at
Oh, he got it.
No,
He
no,
did
no,
it.
no.
He
No,
did
you fucking let him there, bitch. Shut your ass up.
He can leave. It's fine. It's his show.
No.
Uh,
Yeah, see?
Xrod TV, Xrod_TV, Instagram, Twitter. Going to be on YouTube here soon. We're probably going to do a lot of Marvel rants, and that's when I'm going to go off first, is because Marvel's been pissing me off, and eventually Star Wars. Disney, I'm coming for your ass. So be a good time.
In a nice way, right?
I need some.
Not in a Dexter kind of way, right? You know what I'm
Depends on who it is.
saying? Now he's getting canceled, guys.
We're all getting canceled.
I know, right? Guys, if you guys want to find me on social media, Tones_TV on all platforms. Go ahead and follow the podcast with Canada and I, Bad Thoughts Podcast, and follow my YouTube, Bad Thoughts Studio, where I do movie, TV show reviews, trailer reactions. Right now, we're doing House of the Dragon content, so if you're interested in that, Bad Thoughts Studios on YouTube.
Sweet. And yep, you can find me here on my channel, TheCandidCamperr. You can also find me over on IG, TheCandidCamperr with an extra R. Find me on Bad Thoughts Podcast with Tones. Yeah, and just like, subscribe. If you want us to watch a certain trailer or any shows you want us to react to, or you want to come on the channel, just pop in, let us know. You DM me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.